Hi guys, it's Didi here and I'm super excited for today's video. Today's video is for everyone who is looking for different ways to change the way you feel, to change your emotions, or to break from a negative pattern. We all have bad days and sometimes these bad days stretch into bad months or bad weeks, and we have these periods of time when we are down, we are depressed, we are more anxious, we are sad, and there are different things that you can do to pull yourself out of it and change your state. I use personally most of these things, otherwise I wouldn't even talk about those things, but I have found out that for me these are the things that help me most. First is to change your physiology. As the great Tony Robbins has been saying for many years through his programs, a radical change of physiology is going to change your emotion, because motion determines emotion. And I cannot agree more. I actually have been doing that before, knowing that for a fact, certain ways that you can do that. It's first with posture, so standing still, upright, looking up, and then if you feel that you are in a really negative pattern or you're not feeling well, you can start jumping if you have a trampoline, or if not, on the floor, or you can do push-ups, anything making you going out of your current physiological state. There is a lot of research on that theme. If you remember, a few years ago there was a famous popular TED talk from, I think, Amy Cuddy was her name, and she talked about the power posture and how much through research they identified that people who are sitting in the right posture actually the body language determines the way how they feel and how they think as well. Also, changing your posture can help with depression and when you feel sad and down. One of the great therapists of all times, Milton Erickson, used to recommend to his patients when they were having depressions to go on the street and count the number of chimney. So the moment they were looking up all day or most of the time during the day, their depression tends to evaporate and disappear. So it's really important how you hold yourself and your posture, and there are very easy things that you can do to change quickly your emotional state. According to some research in Harvard as well, there is increase of testosterone if you take the power pose and decrease of the stress hormone cortisol. And I always remember, I read years ago the book from A.J. Jacobs, who I think it's a very interesting author, you have to check him out, but he led a life experiment. So he's been outsourcing part of his life, or he's been trying different things to see the results. And one of the things he mentioned in a podcast was that he would keep his head very high up. So he'll make himself very, very tall, much taller than he thinks he is. He'll feel like there is a rope pulling his head on, and he would say that even his children will start treating him with more respect. So these are very simple things you can start doing. The second thing I do, it's something which I've learned from Vortex, from the book from Ashley Hicks and Jerry Hicks, and it is create lists of positive aspects. We tend to focus more on the things that we don't want. In fact, if you go down on the street and stop 10 people and ask them, what is it that you don't want in your life? They will start overwhelming you with information, because we very easily know what are the things we don't know. However, if you ask them what is it that you want, most people would not be clear on that. So our mind works in such a way that we have the negative bias. We are very much concentrating on the things that are negative, and this is what takes most of our thought process. And if you want to change things for better, you have to focus on the things that you want, and making lists of positive aspects is one thing that will help you. So if you have a bad emotion about something, or you feel negative about something, whether it's work, job, relationship, start making lists of positive aspects for this situation or for people involved. And sit down and write 20, 30, 40 different things. And I know from experience it's really hard. If you're very negative towards certain situation, you don't feel like you can take out from your mind somewhere 20, 30 things. But trust me, you don't have to start with things that are not true. You can start with things that are really small, like, I really like that I can walk to the place where I work. And then from there, you can start building on appreciation higher and higher, and that would raise your vibration. It's also important to be appreciative for the small things. So we tend to take things for granted, and we are not appreciative of the fact that we have running water, and that we can see the sun, and that we can feel the wind. And these are really tiny, small things that even Tony Robbins, who is one of the best coaches and strategists at all times, he is still doing this every single morning. It's part of his process. Otherwise, we become responsive to the environment rather than reactive rather than responsive. So make a list of positive aspects and make sure you concentrate on the things that you like, whether it's your favorite thing to do, favorite things to wish, and give your undivided attention only to the things that you want. Trust me, this is going to switch your energy and vibration much quicker than everything else. There is something which I want to mention for parents specifically, because I feel that we parents as role models quite often model the wrong thing for our children in terms of giving our undivided attention to the things that we don't want. So we more often complain from things around us than being appreciative for things around us. So how many times during the day in front of our children we are appreciative of the things that we see and feel and do? I don't think we do it more often than we not. I mean, I feel that we chronically have negative patterns to get into it rather than positive, and this is one thing that you can very easily do being a role model at home. Another thing that I do to pull myself out when I feel sad or anxious or I'm in a negative place or state of mind is I become an extra giver. And by extra giving, I don't mean giving big things or big chunks of my time or effort. It means that I'm extra kind to people around me. So if I go to the shop and do my shopping, or if I am meeting colleagues and friends, I would just give an extra smile. And trust me, because of the way the mirror neurons work, they're responding that way, and then we are responding that way to them as well. So becoming extra kinder, it's actually very helpful for yourself when you feel sad. Another thing, I tend not to overdo, so really be careful with that, but it really helps me depending on the situation. I mean, it's to call a friend. And I know that I'm the one who keeps saying, do not complain, do not put negative emotions out there, do not say negative things because that's what you concentrate on, but I still do, and I guess most of us will still do. So when I'm down, when I have a particular problem, I would just call some of my friends. And I try not to overdo that, as I said. I try not to dump them, my problems. But if you have a friend that you can count on, and normally we know who these people are in our lives, you can call them, and quite often it helps us. Even one small conversation would help us to pull us up and above. Last thing that I sometimes do, because of course, you know, you don't need to do all these things in one day, but that depends on the period you are in, it's to get creative. So normally I would concentrate on doing something that I haven't been doing before, so it would involve me learning. Let's say I'll sit down and try one of the exercises of James Altucher, which is create 10 ideas on something. Let's say I will start drawing, or I would go to a master class, or I would take a Coursera class or Linda class, so something which requires from me to put my attention to something which wants my full attention rather than me concentrating on the way that I feel now. So that's great as well. It's always been working for me. And I wanted to mention something which is for, I guess, more advanced way of dealing with these things. Everything I said so far is more or less about not staying with the emotion, but diverting your attention, distracting yourself, whether it's changing your physiology, sitting in the posture, whether it's sitting down and writing a list of positive aspects, calling a friend, it's diverting your attention of the sad emotion that you're feeling right now. In fact, I find it really difficult, that's why I'm not starting with that, and I guess a lot of people would find it difficult, so extra help is needed. It's good if you can stay with this feeling. If you're sad or if you're unhappy, if you stay with this feeling, instead of resisting it, accepting it as it is, but do not identifying with it. So it's very much like observing the feeling and say, okay, it happens, it's part of me, but it's not me. Observe it without labeling it good or bad. That's the more advanced way of dealing with these things, because in that way we are letting go of the emotions and we are not resisting them, we're accepting them, and we are okay with that in the moment. I'm still working on learning how to do this for myself, and it's a practice. I guess for some people can come much easier, for some people can be harder, but if you feel that you're one of these people who can embrace your emotions, maybe it's not a bad thing to sit down with an emotion even when it's negative and you labeled it negative. That's it from me, my friends. I hope that really helped you. One more thing that I want to mention, and I know I've been saying that so many times in my videos. If you want to make it easier for you, cut the news. Just cut the news, because the news are not being made and produced nowadays to keep you informed. The news are out there to sell, and the way you sell, unfortunately, is by playing on the negative. If somebody is telling you something super positive and super joyful and happy, it's not going to attract your attention in the same way as something negative and something disastrous or some big drama that happens in the world. And unfortunately, because there is such a fight for our attention these days, and a video on YouTube or Facebook can be watched like 50 million times a day, the news producers have to find ways to sell their newspapers. So if you want to be informed, trust me, you'll get informed for your friends or for people on the underground station or when you go to the office. You don't need to spend any time polluting your brain or your mind with negative thoughts. That's it from me, my friends. I hope that this video helped you, and if so, please like it, give me a thumb up, share it with your friends who may need an extra help today, and I hope that you're going to leave me a comment. What are some things that you do to take you out of your negative state of mind if you get these periods of time? Of course, we all do. So thank you so much, and I'm looking forward for the next week. Bye! Ready? That's it for it. I don't even speak English after 1 month in here. Why did I do that? Okay. Nika. That's my favorite time for the beach. Where is Adriana? She's coming. Come.